We've all been taught over the years of our time as students the reasons why the United States, then colonists to the British Crown, launched a rebellion which would become known as the American Revolution. But what led to the separation, this legendary historical rebellion? Today, I'm going to talk to you about the reasons that led to the future Americans' distaste towards the British Crown and some of the key steps they took to establish their desired independent nation, and how one flag symbolized their resolve. Following the French and Indian War, which ended in 1763, England stood the victor, but in tons of debt. Their royal coffers were stretched too thin, if not depleted entirely, and they needed a source of income to replenish their lost resources. So naturally, they leaned towards those they protected during the French and Indian War, the colonists, and began to tax them on various goods in efforts to gain some money back. The colonists were unhappy with these new developments, such as the Sugar and the Currency Acts, which taxed certain goods like sugar, hence the name, and prohibited the colonists from founding their own currency, which forced them to use the very expensive British pound. This angered the colonists, and this actually led to the beginnings of colonial opposition, with our founding fathers and mothers boycotting the British goods, voicing the famous phrase now, "No taxation without representation." www.loc.gov states that, quote, "By the end of the year, many colonies were practicing non-importation, a refusal to use imported British goods." The British, as you can imagine, did not take this very well. And as punishment, the following year, they established the Quartering Act, which forced colonists to house British soldiers free of charge, and the Stamp Act to quell the purchasing of non-sanctioned goods. In turn, the colonists had their first organization and protest in an attempt to repeal the Stamp Act. This organization was known as the Sons of Liberty. The Sons of Liberty failed to convince the British Parliament to repeal the Stamp Act, and in turn, they continued their defiance towards the British, and would continue to do so until the Declaration of Independence and the creation of the Gadsden flag. The Gadsden flag, more commonly known as the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, was first created by Christopher Gadsden in 1775, and according to the book, the flag John Paul Jones really fought under by Marion Balderston, quote, "This was the flag that showed a coiled rattlesnake with 13 rattles and the motto, 'Don't tread on me.' These 13 coils signified the 13 united colonies who considered themselves independent to the oppressive British Crown and a separate nation bathed in freedom." America's resolve is also defined on the Gadsden flag with a scroll held by the rattlesnake, which states a simple but powerful phrase: "This will defend." According to the U.S. Army's Institute of Heraldry, this signifies the Army's constant readiness to defend and preserve the United States. As stated in the book, Shade of Colonialism 2, Don't Tread on Me, The Real Politic of Anachronistic Assumptions of Superiority by Ian Townsend Galt, quote, "Don't tread on me" was the warning written on the very first American flags. With the Gadsden flag being the first, this served as a warning which drove the message and mentality of the American people to the British, as well as other imperial entities throughout the world. Essentially, you step on us, we'll bite back, and you will not like our venom. Naturally, the British wouldn't take our message seriously until our inevitable war, and they started losing key battles, such as the Battle of Lexington and Concord in April of 1775. This was the first battle that changed the social tension into open warfare. The Battle of Monmouth in June of 1778, the Battle of Bunker Hill in June of 1775, where a severely outgunned and outmanned American force cut down more than 1,000 British soldiers and only lost the battle because they ran out of ammunition. This sent a clear message to the British that a pure intimidating force would not deter the future United States of America. Like the Gadsden flag says, "This will defend." Our victory over the British Crown was nothing short of a miracle, but miracles are not entirely out of our hands. The spirit, determination, and loyalty of our forefathers and foremothers to the idea of Lady Liberty, as well as, in my not so humble opinion, God's help, made our nation a reality. The oppressiveness of our former ruler and civil unrest gave the breath of life to the American spirit we retain today. Don't tread on me. As Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes stated, one flag, one land, one heart, one hand, one nation, evermore.